flawless in their gameplay. Their commentary gets an A. So boys, girls, black, white, brown, and blue, if you're kind and you're respectful too, then we would like to welcome you to Misadventureland.
Hey, what's up, everybody, and welcome to the Misadventureland Games podcast. My name is Bobby, and I'm here with Justin.
Hi there.
Hi there, Justin. How are you?
I'm doing excellent.
You're doing excellent.
Excellent, I say.
Excellent, even though you're back here in New York and no longer in the land of Disney.
Yeah, that's kind of depressing, isn't it?
Yeah, I'm sorry. I'm sorry I brought it up.
It's very depressing. I needed immediately to start planning another trip somewhere so that way I have some reason to live.
Wow. That's dark.
I mean, yes, it is dark. But, being on vacation is really nice. And I look forward to it all year long. So I always need something to look forward to. And luckily, with a lot of my hobbies, there's always something to look forward to. But we had a great trip. It's probably the best 10 days of my life. And yeah, it was an expensive 10 days, but a very worth it 10 days.
Grun, it's not really so much a surprise as I didn't tweet about it because I forgot.
I am going to just be upfront and honest with everybody. The last two times you were supposed to podcast. I just straight up forgot because my mind is basically just mushed putty at the moment. We were supposed to podcast the Monday before I left on the trip to talk about Suicide Squad.
We were.
And at like 9:30, I was like, oh shit. I was packing.
Yeah.
And last week, after I got back from the trip, I was just sitting there on the couch. The thing is, Bobby and I usually talk a lot during the week, basically every day. And we usually do bring up the podcast, what kind of podcast are we doing tonight? And we just didn't on that day. We didn't talk about it at all. And Jorah started playing Spider-Man. I'm sorry, Marvel's.
Yes, come on.
Spider-Man.
As a video gamesman, you must say it the right way. As a video gamesman and a comic booksman, you must say it the right way.
Marvel's Spider-Man for the PlayStation 4. And he's loving it because he came back from Disney very into Star Wars and superheroes. Andy in the chat can go fuck himself.
Coming in with the fire. Can't believe this guy actually showed up for the podcast.
So yeah, Andy last week. So we didn't talk about it at all. And Jorah's just sitting there playing Spider-Man, and I text Bobby a picture, which he must assume is, "Hey, are you ready to podcast?" And I'm like, "Look at Jorah playing Spider-Man. What a guy!" And then later, Andy is just like, "So weren't you guys supposed to podcast tonight?" And I was like, "Oh shit." So this week, I made sure not to be the worst co-host ever and actually remember that it's Thursday.
Yeah. I imagine you sending a picture to me at 7:45 with your other son sitting on the beach eating ice cream or something. Yeah. And it'd be like...
I made sure I was ready to go. I told Angela, I was like, 7:50, I need to be there. And then I texted Bobby at 7:50, like, I'm here. And then immediately was like, actually, no, wait, I need 20 minutes.
Yeah, I was like, Justin, I just need a couple minutes. I'm just finishing working. He's like, never mind, I need 20 minutes. I'm like, all right, I guess it's better than not showing up. So we're
buy
good.
A suit.
We're good.
We needed to get it done. And it got done.
It got done. So yeah, so Justin's missed two shows that he was supposed to be on and one that he was originally when he was never supposed to be on. So it's been a while since this has come together. I already reviewed Suicide Squad with Stephanie, so you're good on that one.
I thought it was good.
Yes, it was good. It was good with some very good parts.
Yes,
but good.
Did you know that wasn't Bloodshot? Wait,
no,
I did it again. I did it again.
That's how you put their names together.
Yes.
That's how you put your names together.
Yeah, you could tell this story. This is a very good Justin story.
So Justin texts me. It was before I'd seen the movie. By the way, Mark, go get yourself some ice cream. You do deserve it. Your name's Mike now. Justin texts me. I hadn't seen it. He goes, "You watched Suicide Squad yet?" I go, "No, I haven't watched it yet. I didn't get a chance yet. I'm gonna start it. I'm gonna watch it tonight." He goes, "Oh man, Deadshot's costume was so much better in this one than in the first one. And I was like, wait. I was like, Deadshot's in the movie? I was like, is that like, did you just spoil something for me? He's like, no, Idris Elba replaced Will Smith. And I was like, yeah, but he doesn't play Deadshot, Justin. He plays a different character. Is his name Bloodsport?
Yes. Doesn't Valiant have Bloodshot? No. What's the Valiant character that Vin Diesel played?
Bloodshot?
I think it is Bloodshot. I need to know this now. Bloodshot. I knew Grim would know.
Yeah. Bloodshot.
Yeah. So I just in the back of my head confused those characters because I was like, okay,
yeah,
got a guy with a gun, got a young daughter in trouble. Same character.
Yeah.
Not the same character.
Not the same character.
Not the same character at all.
Nope.
This character was way cooler.
Yeah. Yes. So, yeah, it was good. Also, what if yesterday was just like, woo, crazy stuff, crazy stuff. We won't talk about it here though, because I don't want to spoil anything. But it was very good. So yeah, we have some stuffs to talk about though, Justin. Lots of gaming stuff. Do we want to start with
gaming stuff?
Start with news type stuff, or we want to start with what we've been playing? What do you want to do?
Let's start off with quickly what we've been playing.
Okay.
And I wanted to talk about this thing that I actually did down in Florida.
Okay, lay it on me.
So my buddy, the one that I've stayed with multiple times, we didn't stay with them this time. I decided to just get a hotel. I didn't want to put my family on top of their family for 10 days. We did have to stay with them for 1 day though, because the day I was supposed to come home, there was supposedly a hurricane in New York. They canceled my flight on the way to the airport. It's good to have friends in Florida.
Yeah.
But we went over their house one of the days, and my friend James is just very into he's like an audiophile. So he has always been into surround sound and everything, and he created this entire like $10,000 system, speakers in the ceilings, like just the most ridiculous setup I've ever seen. But what he also has is an arcade machine with like 10,000 games in it. So we were out the night before, and we were having some drinks, and we were talking about old arcade machines and things like that. And I had brought up, oh man, like I remember as a kid here on Long Island there was a place called Spaceplex.
Yes.
Which
indeed
only people Bobby and I's age would remember. Because shortly after it closed down, Sports Plus opens.
Yes.
And it was much bigger, and that's probably what a lot of people our age that live in this area would remember. But Spaceplex had like this one arcade machine that I was totally in love with, and it was the Spiderman like beat 'em up. And I can remember being like 8 years old and just pumping quarters into this thing, and I was pretty sure I had nearly beaten the game. And I ran out of quarters, and I couldn't find my mom, and that was the last time I ever touched it. Until this weekend.
Okay.
Or that weekend I was at my friend's house. He's like, oh, I have that on the machine. And so we immediately went back to his house and started playing it. And it's cool. Like this, so this arcade machine, I forget where he said that he got it, but it's just one of these ones. He had a custom built, complete cabinet. And he's got the computer, and it has like 80, he says it has like 80,000 games. I don't know if that's right. I don't think that's right at all.
So it's like a MAME cabinet. It's probody running MAME in the background, right?
In all likelihood, yes. But it like every arcade machine that you could think of was in this thing. But it would also run like Wii U stuff and original Nintendo stuff, and you could work on with a controller. So now I started like digging into stuff, and I was like, what other games haven't I thought of? So playing the Spider-Man game made me think of Spider-Man versus the Kingpin.
Okay. Yes.
Which was, until Spider-Man 2, probably the best Spider-Man game that was out in my childhood. You ever play that one?
Yeah, was that on Genesis?
Genesis.
Right, yes.
Yeah.
I remember that the Genesis like cartridge art or whatever.
And you would like it was 2D, but even being 2D, you could still web swing, and you were taking photos that would show at the end of the level. And apparently on other systems it gets really dark. Like MJ could die. and the Kingpin escapes, and I never got that far, but I remember playing that game a lot and really liking it. And so I started researching, like, can I buy this game anywhere? And no, I would have to install. I have to install it at like some bootleg version of it. Maximum Carnage, Groon, is not that good of a video game. I'm so sorry to break it to you. It's just fine. Maximum Carnage isn't even a very good comic series. It's over the top and very 90s.
Yeah, well, that's everything with Carnage for the most part. But.
Yes. Jor is very, he's like, can I see the Carnage movie? And I was like, I don't know. We'll
it's PG-13.
It's PG-13, so maybe.
People were apparently surprised by that for some reason. The Venom was PG-13, so I don't understand why people are surprised that it was PG-13. But
I mean, Carnage is a serial killer.
Yeah,
so,
he is. But I mean, Venom is not necessarily like known for his like niceness, you know?
Oh my gosh, Groon. Maximum Carnage is like an okay beat 'em up.
What
was the other one? What was the other Spider-Man beat 'em up? There was two. There was Maximum Carnage and what?
I don't remember. There was a lot of Spider-Man games in that like Super Nintendo, Genesis, N64 era. There was a lot of them. A PS1 like time frame.
Do you remember the first video game you bought with your own money?
I do, because I saved up my. Well, I mean, does my own money count as my allowance? Does that count as my own money?
Say somebody like your granddad, family member, whatever, gave you $50, or you saved it up yourself, whatever. That money was yours, and you could do whatever you wanted with it.
Yes, I do remember then. I bought a Game Boy with Tetris.
Ooh.
I saved up the $80, I think it was $90, whatever, $100. It was something in that like ballpark. The Game Boy it was. I saved it up and I bought one at KB Toys. That, and it came with Tetris, obviously. So that was the first video game I ever spent my own money on.
I actually got a Game Boy. My parents threw like a small little party for me at Adventureland, and my gift was a Game Boy, but it came with like 6 games. So yeah, that was my experience there. But my first ever video game I bought with my own money, I can remember exactly where I was. I was at the Smith Haven Mall, and I went into what at the time was probably EB Games, right next to that Fridays, which had red carpet at the time. And I bought myself a copy of X-Men for the Genesis.
Oh, nice.
That game was very good.
So Andy says I bought a Game Boy too, but Andy, you were like a full-grown adult when the game came out, right?
The Game Boy came out, yes.
Our mall. So this is a weird thing with the mall that Justin and I grew up with and around. So at one time, there truly was 3 GameStop-owned stores within the mall itself. And if you counted the Funko Land that was literally, I don't know, 20 feet from the mall's exit in like another like adjacent shopping center, there were 4 GameStop owned like video game stores in our mall at one time.
Was that are you counting Planet Comics before GameStop took it over?
I'm counting Planet Comics when GameStop took it over, because at first they didn't close it down right away. It was a GameStop, but they still called it Planet Comics. So there was a Planet Comics that GameStop bought, and you could.
Book store was cool.
There was an actual GameStop in there. There was an EB Games, and then there was a Funko Land. At one time, all of them owned by different companies, but then I feel like in the space of like 2 years, GameStop bought all of those companies and owned all those stores. And for a while, for at least 6 months, if not longer than that, they were all open and going at the same time.
Yeah.
Like to the point where like you'd be like, oh, the game I want isn't at the Saturday matinee. Let me walk directly next. It was literally the store next door, directly next door to the GameStop, and see if there's anything there. Oh, there's not. Let me walk down to the end of this aisleway of the mall where the EB Games is and see if anything's there. Oh, it's not there. Let me just walk out of the mall and walk like 5 minutes into the Funko Land to see if they have it there. It was crazy, like that little period of time.
The funny thing is, and I brought this up to Angela a ton. If you look all over the country, like malls are failing like left and right. And the mall by Bobby and I only gets bigger.
Yeah, it's true.
It is constantly like it always blows my mind when people are like, oh yeah, malls are like dying all over the country, and I was like, mine keeps building. Like stores, some stores will go out and like something brand new moves in there like the next day.
Yeah, I mean, you have to understand that there's just a lot of fucking people who live here.
Yeah, that's true.
That's that's the thing. There's a lot of people who live here.
Out, there's not a lot of like Friday nights when you're a teenager.
Yeah,
it's cold. Ain't a lot of things to do other than go to the mall.
Because this mall might not have died, but like every other mall around us basically died.
Yeah.
So it's like us, then the Walt Whitman Mall, which is like a 30-40 minute from that mall, and then the next mall is probably Roosevelt Field, which is another 40 minutes away from that. So it's not like it's just because I think it was the big one that was in this area. It survived. That's a little jaunt down our childhood. I traded a lot of games into those GameStops over the years, quite a few. I never worked at a GameStop though. That never happened.
I almost did. And then they told me how much money I'd be making, and I was like, I make more money on unemployment. Thanks. It's funny too, because when I went on the interview, they were like, so if somebody came in and said this, and I was like, I would tell them to buy this, this, and this, and they were like, oh, you know your stuff. I'm like, yeah, that's why I want to work at GameStop. And they were like, we'll pay you $6 an hour.
Mm-hmm. Yes. That is what happened.
You start right now. I was like, no.
So right before we get to the more game stuff, big life stuff. My son had his basically his first day of preschool today. It was like his orientation, but we actually went to the building and he hung out with other children, and everything. Put a backpack on. Big moment. Next Thursday is his actual first day where we have to leave him there. So
our school schedule up here is insane. My kids started school yesterday. That would be Wednesday. And they have school until Friday. And then they're off for 5 days.
Yes, they are.
They don't go back until next Thursday. I was like,
Yep.
None of this made a lot of sense.
No. Oh, it's next Thursday they go back?
Wednesday,
right? It's Wednesday because it's Monday's Labor Day, Tuesday is Rosh Hashanah, and then Wednesday they should be back, I think. But then the week after is Yom Kippur
so they're also off.
Yeah, on the Thursday. I don't know if because we're saying this, the Jewish holidays, the high holy days in Judaism, Yom Kippur and Rosh Hashanah, they have off here in New York. I don't know if that's like a national thing or not. So I don't know. But kids have off here for that. I remember when that happened to us because it wasn't always like that. We didn't always have those days off.
I don't remember.
Yeah.
But holidays sneak up on me. My dad sometimes at work will be like, we're off Monday, right? And I'm like, we are? It's like, yeah, it's Memorial Day. I'm like, oh, rad. I just forget all the time.
Yeah. I mean, those holidays are easy to forget.
Every year we do are we off President's Day? Mm-hmm. Is it President's? Yeah, we're off President's Day. Oh, sweet.
So you mentioned some of these very old games you've been playing. We have also been playing a not 2021 release, quite a bit of it. Not as old as the other ones, but we've been playing a lot of Hades. And I mentioned this on the podcast with Stephanie last week or 2 weeks ago, about how I had started playing, and I did not stop. I checked my clock on the Xbox.
What's that?
43 hours.
Oh boy, that's way more time than you put in on PC.
It's at least double the time I put it on PC. At least double, if not a little bit more. My name is Bobby, and I am addicted to Hades. This is true. But I'm not the only one, because this entire week, every night this week, me, Justin, and Andy have sat in a party chat just playing individual runs of Hades.
This is really funny because sometimes none of us speak for like 5 minutes, and then I forget you guys are there, and then I hear Andy or somebody grunt, like, oh. And I'm like, oh, that's right, there are people here. I like it, though, because we were like, I just ask you, like, oh, I just fucked up my run. Where are you at? And you're like, oh, I'm about to go face him.
Yeah.
I knew that I would get back into it. It took me a while to start. Bobby once again got ahead of me because I was down in Florida, and my Wi-Fi was not good enough for the backbone. And I made it to Hades on like my third run, and then got thoroughly worked. But I got my first clear at like run 12, which is way better than I was doing on PC. I think on PC I got my first clear at like 26 or something like that. I mean, it really does help knowing what you're doing.
Yes, 100%. Yes, absolutely.
But I'm also doing things a little bit differently this time. Like there are certain boons that I'm focusing on right away. There are certain, what do they call them? trinkets that you get. I forget what they're.
I think they're actually called trinkets.
Are they called trinkets?
I think so. Yeah. Keepsakes. That's
keepsakes. That's it. Yeah,
keepsakes.
keepsakes. I'm focusing on certain ones of those. Actually, I'm focusing on one that I never even used in my first go around, and it's actually working out really well. For those who don't know, I think Hades is like a pretty decent video game.
It's a pretty good video game.
Let's talk about In the Blood, the song at the end of the game.
Oh my God.
You never heard.
So I never heard. So on the PC, I got, I think, 2 clears on the PC, and I never got my 10th. Basically, if you don't know, I'm sure everyone listening to us knows this, but Hades is a run-based video game where you play the son of the god of the dead, the Greek god of the dead, and you're trying to escape the underworld to basically find your mother. And you have to, it like most roguelites, it's a repeatable loop. So you have the same like set of levels with the same set of bosses, and you're trying to beat those. You have to do that 10 times in order to get like what you would call the ending of the game. There's still more after that you can do, but like the ending of the main story of Hades comes when you beat the game 10. You do 10 clears. So I knew like one thing that happened after you cleared it for the 10th time, which I had sort of like assumed anyway, but there was one thing at the end which totally surprised me, which I'm not going to say anything here. I also did not know that this song existed at the end. I listened to Hades soundtrack. I do, but I never I probably listened to like the first like 10, 15 tracks or whatever, and never like get all the way to the end. It might have been on at one point when it was just playing in the background. I was doing other things and just didn't realize it. But there is this song that plays, this vocal song. There's a few vocal songs in the game, and they're all great. But there's this vocal song that plays in the game, which is just fucking amazing. It's like great duet. It's like top flight, Darren Korb, like Super Giant. I don't know the 2 vocalists' names. The one vocalist, she does Eurydice in the game, and she also was the vocalist in what's it called? What's that game that you love that's just okay? Transistor.
I should have just said Bastion and made you fucking eat it. I'm glad we don't have to have this argument anymore, because Hades is the best Supergiant game.
Hades is by far the best Supergiant game. It was great. But I play differently too. Because I can just sit on my couch and play it now, I've been much more invested and patient with like the other aspects of the game that I really didn't invest too much in the first time around. So I'm like trying to knock off a lot of the list, the list of minor prophecies or whatever. Like I've been paying a lot more attention to the story and the side quests, and trying to like get my relationships up with some of the specific people that you should do that with. I actually like finished off one of them for the first time.
Who'd you finish off?
Skelly.
See, I've gifted one thing to Skelly.
You should gift stuff to Skelly, a lot to Skelly. Because there are like 4 or 5 characters in the game that when you max out relationships, you get something.
Oh, okay.
And so Skelly is one of those characters.
I'm maxing out Meg. Is that a mistake?
No, Meg is also good. Meg's one of the good ones as well. Meg is one of the ones you should do. But because I was like, I've gotten to the end game now, and I was like, okay, like who are the people that I should be like? I have like a bunch of these like these gifts to give. Who should I be giving them to other than Meg? So it's Meg, Than, Dusa, Skelly, and Achilles, I think, are the ones you're supposed to like give stuff to.
Basically all the main characters back at the base.
Yeah, basically. So I did that. I've been doing that, and that's been a lot of fun. I got my clear with the sword last night, Justin. So
nice. I still have to get the sword.
I leveled it all the way up to it's the aspect of Zagreus. I leveled all the way up to max, and was using that. I beat that. I got like a ton of lightning damage. So
the only thing I wish is the hidden aspects. See, Mark's talking about it. Mark, how do you get the aspect of Arthur?
You have to. I know how to do it.
But when I was playing, I was looking it up. They never made it like very clear on exactly how to do it. Like it's not a thing that you can discover. You just have to discover it in the game.
So you have to put at least 5 Titan blood into the weapon. So either in one, like in one section or across the whole weapon. And then a character in the game will at some point during your progress through will give you like the way to unlock actually, I've unlocked 3 of them: the shield, the gloves.
Oh wow.
And the spear.
How many runs are you in?
I'm in the 40s. That's
I don't
high
even think
40s.
I don't think I've cracked 20 yet.
I want the hidden aspect because I'm trying to finish them. I'm trying to finish the game, like, or at least reach the surface with each one, because you get like a prophecy for doing that for each one.
So let's have a little discussion here about something we actually had a text discussion about, and we can see what chat thinks. What does Supergiant do next?
Oh yes,
because some people like Jeff Grubb feel like they're working on DLC for this game, which would be very different than anything Supergiant has ever done before.
Yes.
Some people would love to see them just make a full-on sequel to this game. That would be me.
Yes, I know.
And Bobby wouldn't like to see that at all. He'd like to see them move on and do something else.
I mean, look, if they did a sequel to Hades, I wouldn't be like, I'm never playing this bullshit. But their thing has always been like, okay, we did something, and now we're just gonna do something totally different. Like, that's just what they've always done. And that keeps them very interesting to me. I mean, look, Hades was extremely successful for them. Extremely. By far their most successful game. It's
probably more successful than all their other games combined, and then some.
And they've been a very successful studio. To be clear, like Bastion was in that early days of the Xbox, like, you know, Xbox Arcade type thing. All those people who made games then that were popular made a lot of money. Them, Jonathan Blow, the people who made Super Meat Boy, like all those people. They made a lot of money, and they've never had to really like compromise what they were trying to do. But with Hades, obviously, they made this type of game is just like extremely popular, and the way they rolled it out, they did a really good job with it. So it makes sense for them to say, like, okay, well, maybe we can do a sequel to this, and maybe they have more ideas that they can do. But like, I just don't like what you mentioned was like swap out the Greek gods for the Norse gods or whatever, you know, and like that on its face is not like super interesting to me.
It works for God of War.
You know,
I mean, but seriously though, think about that Gen Z art with some of the Norse gods.
It would look great. I'm not saying it wouldn't look great. It would probably play great. It would probably be really, really good. But I would like to see. I don't know what it is, and that's the beauty of it. I never would have said. And in fact, I think we talked about this back when it was announced, when it was like, oh, Supergiant's making a run-based like roguelite. I was like, oh, really?
We saw that together. We saw it at the Game Awards.
Yeah.
We were recording that live. It's somewhere on the internet, and the both of us were like, "What?
Yeah,
really?"
It's
we
like,
knew it was Supergiant right away.
Yes, the art is unmistakable. The art is unmistakable. I think their games all look amazing. They all sound amazing. My enjoyment of them like has varied, you know, back and forth. You know, this has definitely been the high of highs for me, and playing it now, especially, like, I'm enjoying like going through all the little things and the amount. And even playing 20 hours of it, I felt this way, but now playing 40 whatever hours of it, the amount of dialogue in the game is absolutely insane. It's ridiculous. There are times where like they will comment on so specific a scenario that I'm in. Like, I'm like, okay, well, I've got a Zeus boon, but this just happened to me in this room, and now I'm in this next room, and Zagreus has some line that references like the exact situation that he's in, and it's just like nuts how much there is in there. I've been having a lot of fun. Like, now I'm starting to look a couple things up because I'm like, I just want to make sure that I'm like on the right path to doing these things. Like, there's like a mission where you're supposed to like learn how to play the lyre or whatever. And I have the thing in my room, but I'm like, I can't get Orpheus or Eurydice to be like, I'm gonna teach you how to play this thing. So I just looked at it, I was like, is there like a thing I have to do? And I was like, no, you just kind of like have to like kind of like mess with it a bunch, and then eventually the dialogue option will sort of like reveal itself. So I'm, you know, I'm starting to do that, but I'm still having a ton of fun with it. I'm like I just have to, there's a cutscene that needs to happen for me to finish off like the relationship thing with Meg. but like it hasn't popped yet. So every time she's in the like the house, I can talk to her, but I don't have the option to gift her anything, and it's driving me insane because I just want to finish off the storyline. So, but yeah, I've been playing it pretty much consistently every single night for 3 or 4 hours.
We're gonna play when we get off tonight because I didn't play last night. It was my anniversary.
Yeah, it was your anniversary last night. Andy and I played a little bit. That's when I got my clear with the sword when I was in the chat with Andy. Andy's also very into it as well. Been playing it a lot.
Everybody who plays Hades is into Hades.
Yeah.
I don't think anybody's ever played it and was just like, I don't like this.
And now that I've finished it, or not finished it, but now that I've gone through all 10 clears and seen a ton of it, I can understand more now why oh god, what's his name? Logan. I don't remember his last name. The guy who voiced Hades. He also voiced like the narrator in Bastion and everything like that.
Yeah.
He got like nominated for all of these awards and stuff for voicing Hades in the game. And I was like, I don't, but like if I was gonna pick somebody, it wasn't gonna be him because like, you know, you don't really.
He's very good.
He's very good, but you don't really get like the meaty stuff with him until way later. It's mostly just like, hello boy, and like him sitting behind a desk.
Shit.
Yeah, exactly. But when that stuff happens, it's obviously great. So yeah, so I've got like the end game mission, which is now I've got to do something more with the gods or whatever. So
here's my question.
Yes.
How long do you think you're going to stick with Hades with what's coming up?
Probably not too long. You know, I'm trying to like kind of like hoover it right now to get it done. There's even games that are out right now that I should be playing or I want to be playing that I haven't been playing because of Hades. So I need to get to those games before we breach into the deluge that's coming our way. The lucky thing is like, and when Justin and I talk about this is more because we think of everything in like, how are we going to talk about what in the game of the year discussions? So luckily, like once we're kind of done with October, like it thins out like quite a bit. I think it was like there was a lot in September and October, and then not as much in November, and like barely anything in December except for Halo, obviously.
Here I could actually go through it.
And Dying Light, I think.
Deathloop is in September.
Yeah.
That WarioWare game.
Yeah.
Eastward, which is a game that I'm very interested in playing, comes out.
Kenna, right? Kenna
comes out. Let's see, anything else?
And he says whatever Game Pass provides.
Yeah. Chernobyl Light, which is a game I'm interested in.
Yeah, me too.
Comes out.
Me too.
And it they extended the beta for New World, right? It's just like going indefinitely now.
No, it's the open beta is starting up soon.
Okay.
And then I believe the full game is out in the very beginning of October. I believe.
Okay.
I believe.
Sable is coming out.
Yeah. Yep.
That Diablo 2 remake is coming out. Yeah. Okay, that's that. In October, Jet the Far Shore, Far Cry 6, Metroid Dread. The latest trailer for Metroid Dread might have did it for me.
Quite
good.
It
was a good trailer.
It's a quite good trailer.
Anything that's happening. I know people I watch people react to it. Like I was listening to Games Beat show.
Yeah.
And the other guy, Mike
Minotti.
Minotti is a big Metroid fan.
Yes.
He didn't watch it, so he live react, and he was like, he knew exactly what was happening, and I was like, that's great. I have no idea. So off his reaction, I was like, let me check out this trailer, and I was like, oh, it does look pretty good.
Yeah.
So I might play that. Back for Blood. There you go, Andy. That's on Game Pass.
Yes.
Battlefield 2042.
Yes.
Guardians of the Galaxy, which we don't know about yet. But
Yeah.
we'll at least take
I'm on the fence about it. I would
we're
say.
on the fence. Let's see what the reviews look like.
Yeah. Here's the thing. I want it to be good because I want to play it. I want to be like it's worth me to spend this $60 on this video game so I can play it. Or $70. I don't know. $70 probably.
Solar Ash.
Solar
comes
Ash.
out, which I'm excited about because that's Heart Machine. Riders Republic.
Right. You didn't play any of that beta, right?
I didn't get to play any of the beta.
Yeah.
I know, but here's the thing: is I know I'm gonna play it anyway. So that's October, November. Not a lot. Probably not getting Call of Duty this year. I'll wait for maybe the springtime when there's a dead period and maybe I can get it for like half off.
Yeah.
Forza, which we'll play a couple of hours of and be
It's
like,
on Game Pass,
that's a real pretty game.
Yes, that's what I always, every time a Forza Horizon game comes out, that's what I do.
Grand Theft Auto 5 for the PlayStation 5. No.
I didn't play it when it was new. I'm not gonna play it now.
Andy, I know you tried that COD Alpha. Bobby told me how you felt about it.
It was not the this COD Alpha came out last week, and it was literally just this champion. They call it Champion Hill mode, where you it's teams. It's 8 teams of 2, and it's almost like a tournament style. Like you play one other team, and it's like a short little timed match. And for this whole tournament of 16 teams or whatever, of 8 teams, sorry, you have 12 lives shared in your for your team between it. And the team that the last team to lose all their lives wins like the round or wins the match or whatever. So it's a lot of and it's kind of you buy. It's like that gunfight mode, Justin. You know, the gunfight mode. It's like that, except it's like it's like round based, and you flip between different teams. And
you know how I feel about round-based stuff.
And it literally, if you're good enough and the other team is stupid enough, you could basically eliminate a team in one round. There's no limit on how many lives you can lose per face-off or whatever. They're just shortly timed. So it's like smart to like, okay, like we lost a couple lives. Let's just hang back and kind of hide, and hopefully we can run out the clock so that we can move on to the next match and survive a little longer. And there's like you can buy, there's like a intermission in the middle where you can buy like equipment. You can buy like perks and kill streaks and better guns. And you can also, because you're earning money as you get kills in the match. And you can upgrade your gun though on the fly in the match. So if you have enough money, you just hit like right on the D-pad and it'll like upgrade your gun to the next level.
That's interesting. That's an interesting mechanic.
Yeah, and there were some interesting things about it. It was just like it's just a bad mode for a limited time like alpha. Let's test this thing out.
What sells Call of Duty? Call of Duty gets sold on like 4 modes.
Yeah,
just pick one of them and just be like, play this for the weekend with like 2 maps, 3 maps.
Yes,
because it's launching with 20 maps, which is a not insignificant amount of maps.
It's a lot of
the
maps.
last Call of Duty game launched with like 5. So 20 maps is like, okay, yeah, that's cool. That got my attention.
Yeah.
But we're going to be playing. So my hope is that we're playing a lot of Battlefield and Halo, which also comes out in December. Yeah. With Dying Light.
One last thing about the Call of Duty mode or whatever that was interesting is that you start out in like this middle. Basically, the match starts and everyone in the match is in this like center sort of like arena looking area. And this is where you can first like you have a little bit of money to start with, so you could buy like a new gun or buy armor. You can buy a full armor, and then when the match starts, you kind of are put into like a smaller arena with everybody else, you know, with the team you're facing. But the cool thing about it is that every time you like the match is about the match ends, it pulls out and you see like the scoreboard, and in the background behind the scoreboard is the middle area you started in, and then all these spoked off arenas, and those are the actual arenas you're fighting in. So after it picks your match, it like zooms in to the one you're fighting in, and they're very close together. So you can literally see other teams fighting and hear other teams fighting in the other like arenas. Cool. Somebody in the beta killed somebody not in their match. They threw a grenade over the thing and it killed somebody in the other match. So it was like kind of interesting in that way. So that was kind of cool.
I will look. I'm gonna play Call of Duty eventually. It's just I'm not feeling the rush to go out and get it at launch. I'm sure May when it rolls around and they do one of those like flash sales and it's $40, I'll pick it up.
I don't know what game franchise you're talking about, because the new Call of Duty game like never goes on sale.
It does. It's just it goes on sale for like a weekend here or there, and that's it. But because I've seen it in years past where it's always like, I should have waited. We could have just bought it for like $20-$30 off right now. But it doesn't last. And then it goes back up to full price. So yeah, that's the schedule for the upcoming months. There's like 10 games I want to play. You know, if like AAA, indie, somewhere in between. Oh, and that's not counting The Gunk.
The Gunk, which comes out in December, which I'm very excited
Also comes out
about.
in December. So yeah, after October, it does slow down. Like I'm very excited about Dying Light.
Yeah.
So like 2 games that I'm very excited about come out on the same day in December. I don't know what we'll do for Game of the Year that year. Maybe we'll cut December off and push it to the next year, or we'll just
No, we usually don't do it till February anyway, so there's plenty of time for us to play it.
Plenty of time.
Plenty of time.
Plenty of time. So yeah, that's what's what the fall schedule looks like. We usually do the each of the seasons and forecast those out.
Yeah. There is some games like there's a game called Wildermyth that's already out that I really want to play. It's like it's sort of like a strategy game, but it's got a lot of D&D stuff like kind of involved in it. It's very like procedural and you're able to sort of like create your own stories like really well. It's gotten great reviews, so I want to check that out.
I have a lot of games I need to catch up on.
Yeah.
That's what I need to do.
I have been playing some Psychonauts 2.
Oh yes.
I played about it. It's fantastic.
Okay.
It's really, really good. I'm going to I'll say I'm not gonna spoil anything about the story. I'm not that far in yet, so I don't think I could. I just want to kind of level set. I never played the first Psychonauts game or the VR game Rhombus of Ruin. I am a fan of Double Fine games. I think that like for the most part they make interesting stuff with cool stories and cool characters. Just when it comes to gameplay, usually the games kind of fall short a little bit. This game is in many ways a throwback type of situation. It is a 3D puzzle platformer where you play as this kid named Rasputin, who is an intern for an organization called the Psychonauts. And the Psychonauts are basically psychics who kind of travel the world, psychic secret agents who kind of like travel the world and like go and help people by fixing fixing the mental issues that they face. It's sort of like a non-shady Inception type of situation, so they literally go into people's minds and sort of fix these things. And in the game, these people's minds are, given life and a theme in certain things. So there's one that's like there's one that this guy's like a dentist, like an evil dentist. And so everything in his mind is like this weird dental stuff, like giant teeth and all this stuff. There's one that's like a casino, a bunch of other stuff. I think in the combat you have a bunch of different powers, a bunch of different psychic powers. The combat is fine. It's not. The combat is not amazing. Combat is fine, but they don't make you do that much of it. They're very short bursts. The platforming, which was, from what I hear, not great in the first game, is good here. And I've been having a lot of fun with it. And the story, it's very charming. It's very funny, but it also has a lot of stuff to say about like grief and pain and like sort of trauma and how we deal with those things and how we can try to get over those things.
I have it downloaded against my wishes. There were 2 games in the past 18 months that I never wanted to see ever again. Mm-hmm. One of them was Psychonauts 2, and the other one was Oddworld. Mm-hmm. I was very tired of seeing those video games.
Yes, understandably
I managed to stay away from Oddworld, but I mean the reviews on Psychonauts have been so positive, and Bobby enjoys it enough that it's like one of those things that I'm going to just check out, take a look at, and see where we get.
Just take a look at it, definitely. I think, like, I think it's some people like on the run up were sort of comparing it like to Ratchet and Clank because it is like the Microsoft 3D platformer, compared to what is like the Sony 3D platformer. And I'll say this, it does not. I love the look of Psychonauts. Like I love the Double Fine look. I like the art style more than I like the art style of a Ratchet and Clank, right? Pure like graphics and
fidelity,
not even fidelity, but pixel count and like effects and whiz bang, all that kind of stuff.
It's not there.
Animation. It's just not even. It's not even trying to be that. Like, you would never play it and be like, this feels like cheap. It doesn't feel cheap at all. But I'll say like, as far Ratchet has that trumped in there, and also trumps it in the actual combat, right? Like the combat is interesting and varied in Ratchet. But I am more engaged right now playing Psychonauts than I was ever playing the parts of Ratchet that I have played. So
fair enough.
I'm quite enjoying it. And I've played a few hours of 12 minutes.
Oh, we haven't even talked about this.
No, I've been playing with my wife. I incepted her into playing it because she was like sitting with me on the couch, and I was like, I'm just gonna start this game. And I started, and she's like, what is this? And I told her the concept, and she was like immediately into it.
Angela would be if I started it. My only thought was, you either like this game, or it's the worst thing you've ever seen.
So
in video games,
I think a lot of that the visceral reaction to it comes from like later story beats, which I have not gotten to yet. The basic plot of 12 minutes is you are a man who comes home, and your wife, it's your little tiny apartment. Your wife surprises you with some news, and then but a few minutes later, a cop in quotes shows up and does bad violence to you and your wife. And then, but instead of like, dying or whatever, you wake up, you kind of like come to, and you're walking in the door to your apartment again, and you're in this time loop. It's a time loop thing. You're in this 12-minute time loop. It doesn't have to go the full 12 minutes. It can end much shorter than that. But it won't ever go longer than that. Let's just say. The way it plays is it basically is a point and click adventure game. You don't have like free movement. You're like you're pushing like the analog sticks and walking around the apartment. It's not even like click to move. It's like there are areas of interest in the room that you can like be like, I want to go to the closet, I want to go to the sink, I want to go to the fridge, I want to go to the table, I want to go into I want to go into this room, I want to go into that room, I want to sit in this chair, I want to look in this drawer. And you find items, and with those items you can go like, oh, okay, I found this mug, I'll bring it to I'll click on the mug, I'll click on the sink, and then like I'll fill up the mug with water. Just as a very basic idea of how the game goes. There are obviously things like, there are kind of mission critical things you can do. But just to give you an idea, like when you the first thing you do that you should do, or the game kind of like points you towards, is your wife is like, oh, I made dessert. Can you please get out of the fridge and put it on the table? I have news for you. So you get like these desserts out of the fridge. You put them on the table. You fill up these mugs with water. You put them on the table, and then you and your wife sit down and like have your dessert and like chat. And there's conversation options. Like they're like, oh, like how was your day? Or if you're in the middle of time limit, you can be like, my day is repeating, and let me prove it to you. And then you can try to prove to her that the day is repeating. It has a mystery about it. There's a reason why this cop, played by Willem Dafoe, is showing up at your house to do bad things to you. And the game is, so far, it seems like, again, I have only played a few hours of it, is you trying to figure out a way to sort of figure out why the cop is there, and then try to figure out a way to like, reverse the situation so that you don't end up getting hurt. And it's fun. It is a crazy voice cast, right? Willem Dafoe is the voice of this cop. James McAvoy is the voice of the man, and Daisy Ridley is the voice of the woman. And they're good in it. I'm not gonna say they're not good in it. Daisy Ridley, I think, comes off the best in it, because she has the most like to do in it. The most like, she has like big lines of dialogue, and the story kind of revolves around her in a lot of ways. James McAvoy's character is sort of like, he's like a typical video game protagonist. So a lot of his dialogue is like, oh, no, I can't do that. Oh, like it's like all those like game barks, or that characters have all the time.
That's a good phrase.
That's not mine. I think I got that from Giant Bomb or Nextlander. I don't know. I think it's a Vinny Caravella joint. So he has a lot of those. And then what I'll say the dialogue in the game mostly suffers from is look, James McAvoy, Daisy Ridley, and Willem Dafoe, they're very famous people who probably cost a good amount of money to get into a booth to record lines of dialogue, right? It's not a non-nominal fee. Annapurna, who published this game, they use their Hollywood connections because they also make movies. They use that connections and they bring these to these games, that are the indie games, sort of like, give them like a little bit of juice to try to like get more people to get eyes on them. That's sort of like they did with that game Maquette that came out like earlier in the year. They did it with this, and they've done it with other things as well. They're doing it with that game from Fulbright as well.
Road 42.
Yeah. So, but in that case, let's say very unlike something like Hades, which is very much like, hey, the guy who voices the main character literally works at the company. He's he just sits there with a microphone and just records these lines. It's obvious that like, James McAvoy recorded like one good take of this line. Like they're like, okay, we like that take, but it's not dependent on the line that came before it, right? Because it is a video game. So you can ask things out of order. So you can go from being like, oh, it's okay, honey, like I totally understand, to let me pick this option. Why aren't you telling me the truth? It's like there is no like, there wasn't 4 takes of that why weren't you telling me the truth line. There's just the one take, and no matter when you ask it, when you use it, it's going to be that way in that moment. There's no getting around it. You know what I mean?
So like each loop is a maximum of 12 minutes.
Yes, most of them are much shorter.
But there are ways that you can skip or create shortcuts to get to later in the loop faster.
Yes, absolutely. Okay. So let's say you're like, okay, I don't need to do any of this stuff. I just want to get to the last, like, I just want to get, there's always going to sort of be like a hard stopping point, at least so far what I can tell, when the cop shows up, which is like a little more than halfway through the loop, like 6-7 minutes. Right now, I have found no way to go past that point, because he's coming in the house no matter what you do at this, from what I can tell so far. But you can either go lay down and like sleep in the bed, and it will like move time ahead, and you can like choose to stop whenever you want. You can get up and get out. Or there are ways literally that you can just like skip all the way ahead to like nearly the end of the loop.
Okay.
But I don't want to spoil anything by saying what those things are, because
I'm going to play it because it's such an interesting concept.
Yeah.
And whatever the execution is, like the fervor around the story of this game is enough to make me want to just see it.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah. I'm eventually going to play it. I will probably play it with Ange to see if it strikes her fancy.
I will say that there is no button that says like restart loop or whatever, but if you walk out of the apartment, it restarts the loop automatically. So if you ever go like, I missed the spot, I just need to go back, like you just walk in and out. I will say that sometimes it can be a little frustrating, because if you played point click adventure games before, this happens in all of them, but you're like, oh, okay, let me try this. I think I know what I'm supposed to do. I'm supposed to use this on this and this will work, right?
And it doesn't.
It doesn't work. In most point-click adventure games, it's like, okay, I'll just try something else. But in this game, like, you can do that, but sometimes things are like time sensitive. So it's like, okay, if I don't do this before my wife walks back out of the bedroom, I can't figure out what I'm supposed to do right now unless I go back to the beginning and try to do it again.
That is frustrating.
So that part gets a little frustrating. To the point where I think it's probably going to be a thing where eventually, like, I just start like looking up, like, what, like, if I can't figure it out, that's why it's also good to have 2 heads kind of in it, because my wife was like, why don't you try this? And I was like, I never would have thought of doing that. And doing that thing progressed the story for me. So that was a big help. I will say, you can do terrible things in this game to the people in the game, like all of them. So, if, there is some like, and whether or not you're doing it or someone else doing it, there is like, violence against women and men in this game. So if that's something that like, that triggers you or anything, you should like be aware of that, because there's no way you can get around it. It's going to happen. I will say that one thing that's like, so this cop busts in the door, right? And then will like basically like try to restrain you and your wife. And I was like, oh, maybe we can hide from him. So I was like, maybe, like, I told her that he's going to bust in here and do this. Maybe she'll follow me and we'll hide together. And so I was like, this cop's gonna come in here and try to arrest us. And then I like walked over to the closet, and instead of her following me, I just walked into the closet and shut the door. And then the guy busts in the room and like grabs her. And the whole thing's in like a top down like
Isometric view.
Yeah, so it's like just looked very funny because it was just like this guy like walking in and shutting the door very calmly as this guy busts down the door. My wife and I had a good laugh about that. I'm definitely gonna finish it. It's only like 4 or 5 hours or something like that. I'll definitely finish it, but it's been interesting and fun to play. So,
is that all that you've been playing?
So. Yeah, I think so.
So, in the interest of time,
yes.
Why don't you give me your overall thoughts of what you thought of opening night live at Gamescom?
I thought it was good. I thought that it was a heavily front-loaded show. It was a 2-hour show.
They should cut that down a bit.
Keighley did the same thing for the Summer Games Fest thing.
Yeah.
And it was very similar, except they did have a big closing thing at that, and they didn't have that here.
What was the closer at the summer thing?
Elden Ring.
Yeah, of course.
Here that was not this. Here it was just like I think some ways smartly, right? He was like, I'm gonna front load everything, most of the big stuff, all in the first like half an hour to 45 minutes, because that's when everyone mostly will be watching those 45 minutes. After that, they probably have like metrics that like numbers go down. No matter if you have big things coming or not, the numbers just start going down at a certain point. And so they front loaded a lot of stuff at the beginning, and I thought all that stuff was good. And then the second half of the show was mostly just like either stuff we already know about, like some update stuff, like a couple of things that were just like, okay, whatever.
35 minutes of DokeV.
Well, DokeV was, I think, more close to that front part of the block, and that was wild.
Shit's crazy, man.
DokeV was wild.
I showed it to both Jorah and Angela, and Jorah was just like, huh. Angela was like, what is this?
No one knows. This is similar a Pokemon thing.
I didn't know that Pearl Abyss, or I had forgotten this, that they're the Black Desert people, which explains why that game's environments look so good.
Yeah.
Because their character creator in Black Desert was ridiculous.
Yeah.
It looks like they're transferring some of that over here. I have no idea what that game is.
So I think it's some sort of like Pokemon type. It's a creature collector, I think is what they called it.
But it also looks at times like a Monster Hunter.
Yeah. I mean, it might have something like that.
It looks like you're walking around with weapons, punching people in the face.
Walt in the chat.
Hey, Walt.
We talked about Hades for 45 minutes at the beginning of the show. Yes, we're playing it a lot.
I started it over on console. Walt.
Yeah, we started it on
stuff.
console.
Also, why are you awake?
Came out on Xbox. So we've been playing it a lot. But yes, so the show kicked off with Saints Row, the reboot of Saints Row. CG, like a CG or in-engine trailer, not really any gameplay, that sort of sets us up in these new Saints who are kind of like starting over again. There are, I guess, some hints that there's going to be characters, kind of rebooted characters from that original series are going to come back here. Not obviously not those exact characters because this is a restart, but it is like some of the characters will be here. I don't have a lot of investment in the Saints Row franchise. Like, I've played a little bit of 3, I played some of 4, and they're just, open world, well, not so much 4, but open world crime games, and I just not for me, no matter how zany they were. So
4, the only one I really put time into and I beat was 4. I put like an hour into 1 and was just like, no, this is not for me. So I came away from that show very interested in Saints Row. Like, I like the tone that they're doing. Reminded me, I mean, parts of it look like kind of like a Watch Dogs thing. Like, I like Watch Dogs to a good amount, and it gave me that same type of vibe.
Is it only because of the motorcycle helmet that had the face on it? The moving LED face on it?
No, I mean, parts of that were, but like, you look at the 4 characters, looking for very distinct characters, and maybe like what's the word? Watch Dogs 2 had kind of like a family feel with that little group, like, you know, friends who took care of each other. And like, you know, obviously it's mostly just a CGI trailer, but I just got like that type of vibe from those characters.
Yeah.
And yeah, like I'm looking forward to seeing more about the game. They showed a little bit of gameplay, like a very small amount of gameplay. I think it was a couple days ago. I sent you the trailer where they were talking about it and showing some of the gameplay off.
Yeah.
And like, look, why not, right?
Yeah.
And so let's see what they do with it.
I mean, good for them. Yeah, they like, yes. I mean, they couldn't keep going with it.
No,
you know, like the way it
way
was.
4 ended. 4 ended with the Earth destroyed and the Saints being able to navigate through time and space. Like, where do you go from there? So you may as well just start the whole thing over and pick a completely different location. And yeah, so that's out in February. We'll see if that date holds, but I'm interested.
Yeah. Yeah.
There was a lot of things in that show that I was interested in.
And they showed Marvel Midnight Suns.
Marvel's Midnight Suns, which we just saw gameplay of yesterday.
So it's weird to me. It's weird to me that there was a comic book event in the 90s called Midnight Suns, but it was like SONS.
Yeah.
But this is SUNS.
Yes.
But they mentioned that comic book series a bunch in the interviews about this game. Like the director, Jake something, I can't remember his name. He's the XCOM director. He's making this game. Mentions it a bunch. I'm like, why didn't they just spell it that way? But it's basically it's a turn-based strategy game, like an XCOM type of game. But it has
not XCOM.
Not XCOM. It's a little more Fire Emblem, like in its sort of milieu, I'd say, because it has a big emphasis on like the stuff in between the fighting, where you're kind of bonding with other people, bonding with the characters, and having like RPG stuff that happens. You play as I don't know if it's fully customizable, creatable. I think it's always this daughter of Lilith. So I think it's always a female, but you can kind of change its look, and it's like
it looked like it was male. Like in the gameplay trailer, the extended gameplay trailer, they show the customization.
Oh, okay.
And there's a male character right next to the female character.
Oh, so you can do a male character.
They picked the female character and show in all sorts of different outfits, but I am like 99.9%.
I believe you.
That there was a male character that you could have picked.
I was watching that video, and it seemed like when they were talking about the customization, they were only doing stuff with the female character. So I had assumed, but you're probably right. So that character is like fully customizable and changeable and stuff like that, and that is, you know, sort of your, I mean, just like, let's say like a Fire Emblem game, that is your like main character that you're kind of like taking the hold of, and then there are other characters around you who are set, right? So I don't know if they've announced the total full roster yet, but
some it's like Cap, Iron Man, Wolverine, Ghost Rider, Doctor Strange, Magic, Captain Marvel,
Blade.
There's
someone from the Runaways. Yeah, whose name I can't remember. She got that staff.
I think that's it.
Nico.
Nico. So they're going into the dark mystical side of the Marvel universe, but you can't make a Marvel game and then not have some of the Avengers in it.
Yeah, no.
And so that's my guess. So that's why they're adding those characters.
Yeah, 100%.
I don't know how I feel about this game the more I think about it. Like, I'm obviously gonna play it. It's got the Marvel license on it, so I'll at least take a look at it. But like, I kind of just wish. It just feels like with a lot of the Marvel games, they're not doing the thing that you want them to do, right? The thing that you want them to do is make Marvel Heroes, a better version of Marvel Heroes.
Well, that's what
I want.
That's what you want them to do.
Yeah, I know, but like, say you want to play, like, you know, like when this game was first rumored and we heard Firaxis is making a Marvel game, I was jazzed. I'm not even good at XCOM at all, but I was thinking, oh my God, if they could get the Marvel library and then do a turn-based game with those characters, that would be great. Now, yes, this is going to be turn-based, but it's got these cards. It's kind of like a card system as well, and it's not the standard XCOM view. So
No, it's not
When
like
I
a
heard-
top-down.
It's not
thing.
a top-down thing. It seems like you're more behind the back of the character.
It seems like it switches. It seems like it goes from
Yeah,
like a
it
sort of
might
like
move.
isometric to like a like cinematic. They mentioned in that I watched that video, a lot of that, not all of it, but I watched a good portion of that video where they kind of got more in depth with it. And they mentioned like there was like they wanted to have like a cinematic feel to like the turn-based gameplay. I mean, the card system, yes, but the card system is basically just like your moves.
Your moves.
You know, but I think there's some sort of like I was watching the video but also working, so there was like it was like split. But I think there is some sort of like randomness to like at the beginning of a turn, like they get dealt out to you and you pick like which moves you want to use or whatever. But there are like combined moves and stuff like that happen.
I'm putting my trust in Firaxis. They obviously know what they're doing, and they were probably somebody came to them or they went to Marvel and said, "Hey, we have an idea." And Firaxis makes good games.
Marvel came to them apparently. The guy said that like somebody from Marvel basically called them and were like, "I really like XCOM 2. Like, how would you guys like to make a Marvel game, essentially?"
So, look, if this game does well, maybe we do get that XCOM game with the Marvel characters. And I would just like to see that. It's just odd because like every time one of these Marvel games comes up, it's like I watch it and I'm like, it's not exactly what I was looking for, but I'll give this a shot. And with Avengers, it didn't go well. Guardians of the Galaxy, we don't know yet. And obviously, I think this looks the best out of all of them so far, not counting the Spider-Man games. But I guess we'll have to just wait and see.
Yeah, I think. I mean, look, Firaxis was never gonna make like the new Marvel heroes. You know what I mean? Like,
no. Of course not. I wasn't. I would have been just totally fine if they made XCOM, but just was like, here's 50 Marvel characters to choose from. Have fun.
yeah. I think like, I mean, that Marvel Ultimate Alliance game was sort of like that type of game. That's what the Ultimate Alliance games are basically, like offline Marvel heroes. You know?
Yeah.
But that game was not very good. So.
No. And well, like it was stuck on the Switch.
I mean, that wasn't its problem. The Switch was not its problem. That was not holding it back. Then they had the Call of Duty presentation. Laura Bailey came out and talked about how it was her lifelong dream to be in a Call of Duty game, which is like
some dreams.
I mean, I love Laura Bailey. If you want me to at least soften on your game a little
Laura
bit,
Bailey, yeah.
you bring Laura Bailey out because I'm like, you're great.
You're just so good.
She's so
just
good
keep talking.
and everything. But they showed that trailer for Call of Duty, and I was like, I can't believe this is still happening.
Yeah, that was a long trailer. That show, 20 minutes of that show, that 2-hour show, were taken up by Doka V and Call of Duty, if not more than 20 minutes.
Yeah. I mean, at least the Doka V thing was like, what is this?
Yeah,
Even though
like-
it was too long. The Call of Duty thing, they were like, we're going to show you this gameplay. Like, it's Call of Duty like you've never seen before. And I'm like, I've literally seen this presentation of Call of Duty, I don't know, 15 times?
And they didn't do the thing where they say, in the interest of time, let's skip ahead.
No.
They're like, no, we're going to show you this whole section.
Yeah.
And now we're going to show you what happened 4 hours before.
Yeah. And it was just standard Call of Duty stuff. It was like there was some climbing in it, which was cool, and they wanted you to be like, oh, they can climb. And I'm like, okay, like what year of what video game are we in that I'm supposed to be excited that you can climb? And then also the destructible stuff that you can shoot through walls, stuff like that, which is a neat thing for Call of Duty. Don't get me wrong.
Look, it looked real
Yes,
good.
it looks very nice. Of course,
It
it
looks
very
real
nice.
good.
Yeah, it's
But we already
obviously on
talked
that
about how
Modern
we
Warfare
feel.
engine. You know, because they had that extra time to do that, but it just was. It was like nothing. It was just like, okay, like this is not even like. You're not even showing me any of like your crazy big Call of Duty moment thing. You're just showing me like
Or maybe they hold off on
the
that
standard
because
ass
they don't wanna
mission.
Spoil it.
I guess, but if you want to get me interested in it, like that's what you have to show. So yeah, there was Doke V, which was cool. What else did they show? That was. Do you have the list up there?
No, I don't have the list, but I have
Okay.
a pretty good lock of the first couple of games because it was like you said, it was very top heavy.
Yeah.
They did not show the Halo campaign
No.
again.
They will never show the
Which
Halo campaign.
just makes me a little bit concerned, but I'm just going to keep my fingers crossed and hope for good things with Halo. They showed Cult of the Lamb, which looks
Oh, yeah.
incredible. They showed Midnight Fight Express, which looks incredible. They showed more of that replaced, a small little snippet of that replaced game that we saw at Xbox's E3 event.
Yeah. A very small amount. It was really
very small.
The
amount.
soundtrack is now available. Was like what that whole thing was.
Yeah, pretty much. And then there were like a lot of updates on things that we already knew about. You know, they ended with Forza, with like a long presentation with Forza.
I mean, that's the Xbox thing you're talking
about.
That's
the Xbox thing. Sorry, I'm conflating.
You're conflating them together. They showed a little bit more of that Ninja Turtles game that looks like it's from.
Yes.
It looks like a really looks like a modern Game Boy Advance game. It looks awesome.
Alejandro, I share your concern about the Halo campaign. But apparently the multiplayer is very good.
Yeah.
And that's the meat of what's going to happen with Halo. But I mean, they're not launching with co-op. They're not launching with Forge. So
from what I've heard, from what I understand,
shape was that game in?
The reason behind this is they want to make sure the single player is ready and that it is as good as it possibly can be. And they're not going to have the team take time to make freeze development and make a demo or make a presentation that they can show at a conference. Basically, that's what they want to do. You know, it's not going to look worse than the multiplayer. We've seen the multiplayer. People have played the multiplayer. You know, so I think like.
It can't. Well, here's my thing. I don't think it could look worse than it did a year ago.
No, it won't.
A year ago, it looked pretty rough. So it was going to look better than that.
Yeah.
But, you know, it may not be the most. I mean, it also has to run on Xbox One.
It does.
Vanilla. So it's not going to be mind-blowingly intense. You know, I just want to know what's going on with the story. So we're going to find out in 3 or 4 months.
Also,
whatever it is.
I will say, like, just like. I mean, I'm not even saying this to be negative, but it's going to sound negative. You should probably keep your expectations in check because this is the same team that made Halo 5. So, like, that campaign is not great. So I just, maybe this will be different. Maybe it'll be awesome. Maybe they brought the right people in and everything will be good. But like, my expectations for the campaign are not that high anyway. You super hype about Morgana and Super Monkey Ball, Justin? No. Splitgate Season 0. They announced like their first kind of like season. You know, they also said, you hear the thing where they're like, it's in beta forever. That's obviously what they said. They said it's in beta indefinitely.
As it should be.
New map and, you know, new battle pass stuff and everything like that for that game, which has been, I'm sure, so much more successful than they ever imagined it would be.
The Outlast Trials.
Oh yeah, the new Outlast game, which seems like it has like combat in it.
Saw type stuff, maybe they were saying.
Yeah, I don't know. It looks like you can fight back a little bit. So
interesting.
Yeah. What was that? Duke V we talked about, and then they went right to Jurassic World 2, Evolution 2. I think like that. There's something about that Blood Hunt game that is like interesting to me. Like, but I don't know.
What was the park game that they showed?
The Park Beyond, which I think was cool.
That looks cool.
Yeah,
that looks cool. I'll definitely take a look at that.
I like those games. You mentioned Jet the Far Shore when we were talking about games coming out, but they showed a little more of that. I still don't really know what that game is, but the Waypoint crew talked about it a little bit, and it seems interesting. It seems like it's going to have something about it. Oh, we got a release date for Horizon Forbidden West.
Yeah, that's true.
Which is February 18th.
We have good news, guys. We're delaying the game till February.
Yeah,
but it will be out in February.
Yeah, for sure.
Thanks.
So September 9th through 12th is the New World beta. Is the open beta for New World.
Okay.
And then it fully launches on September 28th is when it fully launches.
All right then.
There was that Oberhash in that that game by Deadmau 5.
Oh God.
That is in that core thing, which seems like Roblox for adults. Fall Guys and the Jungle Book are crossing over. The hottest properties on both sides.
Mm-hmm.
New stuff for Valheim, new stuff for Genshin Impact. They dropped a Sifu release date, which will be February 22nd. Is that the same day as Horizon?
It's close.
Did I just say it? No, it's like 4 days after Horizon.
Okay.
And then they close the show with like 10 minutes of Death Stranding.
Death Stranding. Oh, fucking.
Death Stranding is director's cut.
We're not going to talk about Death Stranding.
I'm not going to talk about it. That stuff looks cool though.
It does. We can talk about Sony though.
Sony, it's happening next week.
Next Thursday. So we'll be able to podcast that night.
Yeah.
And,
what time is it happening?
3:00 Eastern, I think.
Okay. All right.
Which is like, why I got to now take lunch at 3:00 so I can watch this uninterrupted. Because every time I try and plan to watch it during work, it's like, oh shit, I have like 1,000 phone calls.
Yeah.
What do you think this thing's going to be? They said it's about 40 minutes long.
I think it's going to be like what would have been their E3 press conference is what this is going to be.
Yeah. I mean, shorter, definitely. I would.
Yeah, definitely shorter. Yes, but I also upcoming, sorry. Go ahead. Sorry.
They say upcoming, like upcoming stuff, unannounced stuff, no VR stuff,
no PSVR 2 at this thing. What I think is that we're gonna get. Here's the thing. I don't know what we're gonna see as far as Horizon goes because we had a whole direct about Horizon already, a whole state of play about Horizon, and they showed stuff at this thing. I'm sure they'll show something. I'm sure they'll show a trailer or something. But I don't think we're gonna see a lot of it. But they're gonna do something because they're gonna be like, just in case you didn't watch opening night live, like here is like our message about Horizon. It's coming on February 22nd, whatever. I should say too, in that Horizon announcement of the date, they also announced that the 60 FPS patch or whatever is out for the PS5. It doesn't make it a PS5 game, but it just like what it did with Last of Us, which is it gives it a boost. So what do I think is going to be there? God of War. There's no way they don't show God of War stuff. There is no way we don't see footage from God of War. It's supposed to be out next year. It was supposed to be out this year. So I think we'll see something from God of War. Isn't there still a Gran Turismo game that's supposed to come out? We'll see some Gran Turismo. We'll see some Final Fantasy 16, I believe. I don't know what else. What do you think?
I think I normally wouldn't think this, but I think being quiet for so long and Microsoft just coming out swinging during E3 is going to make Sony go a little bit bigger than they normally would have at this point. I think we're going to see a bunch of trailers for things that are far out.
I mean, I think it's possible.
I think we're going to see a trailer for the next Spider-Man.
That's very possible. Probably not as far out as you even think it is. That's the thing. I don't think it's probably that far out.
Like I don't know how long it took them to, I mean, the turnaround from Spider-Man to Miles was pretty quick, and Miles was a smaller game.
Yeah.
So whatever Insomniac is working on as the sequel to Marvel's Spider-Man.
I mean, what year did Marvel's Spider-Man come out?
2018.
2018.
And
so
Miles came out in 2020.
Yeah, but I would say that like Insomniac is a multi-team studio at this point. My guess is that Spider-Man is a fall 2022 game. That's
2022.
Yeah.
I don't think so.
That's 4 years after the original Spider-Man game.
I know, but they made a whole other game.
Yes, but I'm just saying. But we don't know what like.
I know we don't know what team. I still think that's a fast turnaround. Andy,
the Order 2.
The Order. I would love it, buddy. You know I'm there.
Didn't somebody else buy that? I mean, I guess they don't own this. They don't. I guess
Ready at Dawn.
Yeah, somebody
Ready
else bought Ready. Yeah, somebody bought Ready at Dawn. Oculus or something bought Ready at Dawn. I don't know. Somebody bought them.
I know. I just have a feeling they might go like big and be like, this is what Ben's working on. Well, Ben is working on something
new. I don't think look, I mean, we might get an idea what Ben is working on. That's not like a trump card though for Sony. Like what Ben is working on, like what it would be is like a logo for the next Naughty Dog game would be something that would be one of those things where they would use in their arsenal.
What if they announce whatever the Naughty Dog DLC? They could announce the Naughty Dog DLC.
Yeah, and they also have them. They're also staffing up for a multiplayer game.
Yeah,
which people think is like some sort of Last of Us standalone multiplayer game.
Supposedly the multiplayer mode in the original Last of Us was fantastic.
People love it. Yeah, no, I know. People love it.
Yeah, I just think they go bigger than they normally would go and kind of just like push things out like, hey, this is coming in a couple of years.
They usually go pretty big. Like, look at that really big showcase for the PS5 they did before it launched. Like, it was big. There was a lot of shit at that thing.
Yeah, but they were launching a console.
Yeah.
Like, this is, I think during their E3 things, they're definitely, they definitely go ham, but they usually don't show a lot of things at one time. They hold their cards. They might play 2 of the cards, but they're not going to play like 4. I have a feeling they might play like 4.
Are you forgetting the year that they showed like The Last Guardian and Final Fantasy VII Remake and like Uncharted 4 and like...
It's quite possible I'm forgetting that.
Yeah. They haven't done E3 in a while. They used to go fucking hog ham at E3.
Maybe I'm talking about new Sony. And the new Sony thing is we don't play all of our cards at one time.
Yeah.
I don't know. The Last of Us meets a State of Decay game. That would be cool. That would be definitely cool.
Yes, please give me more Last of Us. This is what I want.
Yeah.
I want Naughty Dog to keep doing games they've already done. Please. Good evening, Teeter. Welcome in. So
wait 1 second.
Yes.
Before we move on, is the next game called Spider-Man?
Yes, that's my guess.
Yes.
Marvel's Spider-Man.
Do they do the amazing thing which no other game has ever done that they should have aped from Grand Theft Auto, where you can switch between the characters seamlessly?
And you talked about this in another podcast that we did.
They need to do that. I need to be able to just hit a button, and then all of a sudden, I'm now Miles swinging through the city, and I hit the button again, and I'm Peter having a burger with MJ, and I jump into a closet, and I come out as Spider-Man.
That'd be great.
They need to make that happen.
That'd be great. Here are the other things. I'm not saying this because I think like it's definitely be here, but these things have been rumored, so I think maybe we'll get there. He says 15 minutes will be Mark Cerny explaining headphones.
Not headphones. No. He's literally going to bring out a model of his own ear.
Yes.
And be like, look at the contour.
It'll be a Zen. Blue Point, who they just bought, by the way, will unveil their Metal Gear Solid remake. One of my big guesses. That's been rumored for a while that there's one in the works, and that they're working on it. So that would be my guess. I would say there's something else I was thinking too. We might see like whatever like Final Fantasy 7 Remake 2. We might see our first hints of that here. It's going to be at Sony. Whenever they show it, it's going to be at Sony. That and 16 both I think have a chance. I think 16 is probably not as far away as people think. I think that's like a next year game. So I have a feeling that we might see that here as well. There's been rumors of them working on a new game with From that's not a Bloodborne 2. I think it's way too early to see that.
It's too early.
But they always have that like Bloodborne in 60 frames a second like card to play.
Back on.
Yeah, at any time. So I think that's very possible. What if
Blue Point was just remaking Bloodborne?
There's been rumors of that too. That is a possibility. I just don't think that game's old enough where that needs to happen. I think if they can just like run it at 60 frames a second and display the art in 4K, I think you could probably get away with that without putting all that other work in. Look, it would be cool if they did it, but I think like I don't think that is probably the best use of Blue Point's talents at the moment.
Imagine that Bloodstarved Beast in 60 frames a secthink 4K resolution, all those tentacles to grab you with.
Here's the thing, I think a lot of people have talked about this. The fact that it has that 60 frames per second thing hasn't happened or whatever is crazy. It's also crazy that it's not on PC yet, because literally it would be them printing money. Like there are people who
hand over fists
who have never owned a PlayStation, who love From Software games, who would go fucking ape shit if they could play the Bloodborne on the PC. It's just nuts that it doesn't exist. I'm trying to think of there other studios that we haven't seen recently, but there isn't really that much. I mean, Sucker Punch obviously just did what they're doing. Media Molecule is doing Dreams. Bend has something. We know there is that rumor that Bend that team that was making the Last of Us remake that then got pushed back to Naughty Dog. So there could be like that Last of Us remake could be a thing. The first Last of Us game could be getting a full remake.
In the last couple of months, Sony announced partnerships with a bunch of studios, and one of those studios, I can't remember which one. Andy, if you're still in chat, he remembered the name the other day. Disruption to something.
Oh yeah, the team, the multiplayer first person.
The multiplayer thing that was far enough along to be playable. Because was it Shuhei that was playing it or something like that? Who's just like, this is a lot of fun. If it's that far along, we might see something from that thing.
Yeah. To answer your question, Gruen, I don't think you're going to hear anything about any PC stuff at this thing. This is going to be a PlayStation focused event. I don't think they're going to talk about other platforms here. This is not like, this is still Sony we're talking about. They're not going to talk about things that are not on the PlayStation 5 console.
I wonder if they like what type of indie stuff are they going to show? Like, are they going to show Stray? Are they going to show any of those other things that they showed at like that we haven't seen from the PlayStation 5 reveal event? But then I wonder if there's any like big indie studios that they're going to try and make a deal with.
Yeah, I don't know. So here's the thing about Sony is that, and if you listen to like some of the insider people or whatever, they've sort of like their deal is they want to make big, giant, huge games that everybody talks about, right? They want to make blockbusters. Like they don't have like, yeah, they'll make deals with indies and they'll do indie stuff here and there, but like that's not their focus. Their focus is like The Last of Us and the Ghost of Tsushimas and the Final Fantasies and like all that. Yeah, big heavy hitter games, big heavy hitter single player games that people like are gonna like fawn over because they look amazing and they're generally all pretty good. So there might, I just don't know if I'm sure they'll make deals. If they make deals with people, usually they're Japanese studios is who they usually making deals with. But now that the leadership has changed to be much more European focused, maybe that is different. So who knows? I mean, it's gonna be fun. It's gonna be big. It's gonna be showy. They're gonna show a lot of things. Oh, they're gonna Resident Evil, whatever the next remake is, 4 probably Resident Evil 4. They'll probably show that because they've revealed all those at Sony things. They always reveal Resident Evil stuff at Sony. So I would imagine this is where it would be, and I got to imagine that game is probably March of next year is my guess, because that's when they put all their shit out. And they're pretty on point.
You beat 7 yet?
No, I haven't beat 7.
You beat 8 yet?
No, I haven't beat 8 yet.
Okay, we need to get moving on.
We are. It's we made that list. It's on that list. I will beat it. That was just like a pure like circumstance thing. The reason why I didn't end up finishing that. Yeah,
you and I are gonna play It Takes Two together because our partners both abandoned us.
We did. Yeah. Your partner was your wife. My partner was Cody.
They don't have power. They can't hear this.
No, they don't. They'll never. They can't hear a podcast again.
Nope.
All right, Cody.
Definitely not.
Yeah. I mean, I'm excited. I'm excited because the truth of the matter, we talked about this the last time, and it's continued. I've turned my PlayStation on 3 or 4 times in the last month, probably.
Yeah, probably.
And that's really just to download like this Call of Duty beta and play it, or like make sure like check something out in the store or whatever. I've been playing so much Xbox stuff, it truly is one of those things where it's just you get comfortable with. Like now, like it's the console. Like I remember when Splitgate was actually dropped, you were like, "Oh, what console did you download it on?" I was like, "Oh, Xbox." You're like, "Oh, I downloaded it on PlayStation." And it wasn't even like I thought like I'm gonna download Xbox because like that's where I want to play games now. It's just like, oh, this is the default system in which I'm playing video games on right now.
Yeah.
So I'm gonna download it there.
Game Pass is just too good. Like it's just. Yeah, and there's been a lot of stuff this summer that we were like, well, there's nothing out. Let's go check out what's going on Game Pass and like play some old stuff, catch up on a few things that we missed. And now, like, whenever there's a big PS5 game, I'm playing it. Like, I'm playing it over there, and I still love the look and feel of the PlayStation 5, especially since my conundrum of me wanting to rip my own hair out looking at the Xbox's dash menu is solved. Since I got the Xbox Series X, I've been looking at the dashboard and being like, there's something wrong with my TV. It's just nowhere near as crisp as the PlayStation 5. Like, and it sounds like the dumbest thing. But I do have an expensive TV, even though it's a couple of years old now. And the PlayStation 5 looks ridiculous, even at the home screen. Like the icons all look crazy. And I'm telling Bobby, something is wrong. I'm in 4K. It just does not look good. It looks like muddy. And then finally, the other day, like they announced, like, oh, we're going to have an update to have the dashboard be in 4K. And I was like, okay, thank God. Because I don't even care that it's not out. I was just like, I'm doing something wrong. There's some sort of setting that's on or off that's driving me mad. And that was it.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. It's a good story.
It's a great story. I can tell when my games aren't in 4K. Thank you very much.
Yeah, and absolutely. Yeah. But Sony, the PlayStation right now, and this can obviously change in any moment, and we're gonna play Battlefield on PlayStation most likely, so it's like, you know, this might change. We've been playing a lot there, we might end up playing a lot there, but like my thing right now is like, yeah, when the games that are only when the exclusive games come out for Sony, obviously I'm gonna play them on the PlayStation. I'm glad to do it. I love to do it, you know. And there are certain games, like some of our friends don't have Xboxes or whatever, so we can play multiplayer stuff on the PlayStation. But like, seriously, most third-party games now, I'm thinking like, I could just play on the Xbox because, you know, and this is so funny because like, I bought the digital version of the PlayStation because I was like, I don't care about physical games anymore.
Yeah.
But now I'm like, maybe, you know, some of the games I'm not really sure about, like,
I know.
I could buy a disc of, and then if I don't like it, I can trade it in.
Like, I'm probably going to buy Far Cry and play it on the Xbox just because I have the ability to be like, okay, I'm done with Far Cry. See you later.
Yeah.
And trade it in for something else, you know?
Yeah. Yeah. Alejandro says, gonna throw a Series X out the window because of the dashboard.
It wasn't the Series X. It wasn't that. All the games that we were playing looked fine. Like, you know, they look and they run fine. But it was driving me crazy because the icons, I was like, did I do something? Did I make it too sharp? Because it almost like the images looked ridiculous. Like, Bobby hasn't been in my house in like a year and a half.
Yeah.
So I have to show him this and he'd be like, oh no, you were totally right. Like, I swear to God, when he comes over here, you'd be like, I completely see what you were saying now.
We'll see.
Oh, speaking of, really quickly, before we get out of here, the other night when we were playing Hades, it was the first time that I ever played Hades where the system was having a rough time keeping up. And I was playing it I was getting a bit of slowdown when using the gloves.
Yeah, there's been a few times where I've gotten like where there's like a bajillion particle effects on the screen, and there happens to be like a lot of enemies on the screen at that time. I've had a little bit of slowdown. Yeah, for sure.
And I was like, I didn't experience this on the PC at all. This is not the way I want to play Hades. I was able to. It wasn't like it was game breaking or anything, but I noticed like, oh wow, even the X is chugging along with this thing.
Well, this is the first. Well, the art on this is the console releases are the first time the art's been in 4K. Yeah. It was never in 4K on the PC.
Shit, it looks so good.
I've had those moments happen, like, but it's never sustained. It's usually like a couple of seconds, and then it fixes itself. But yeah. Yeah, the Xbox has been my platform of choice lately.
Yeah, for sure. Me as well.
I'm gonna have to finish Ratchet and Resident Evil though on the PlayStation, so I'll have to dust that thing off and finish those over there.
Play more Returnal.
Yeah,
whenever that patch comes out.
Returnal. That's not one I'm super jazzed about returning to.
It's so good.
I'm not super jazzed of returning to Returnal, but I'll definitely
save this conversation.
I'll definitely play more of it. I really hope they put that. The greatest thing about Hades is I literally just go like, oh, I have to stop now. Like the other night, I was like in the second to last world, and I was like, I just gotta go to bed, and I could just turn it off after I cleared a room and go to bed. And I came back the next day, and it just booted up, and I could start from there because I'm an adult man who has a life.
I am not disagreeing with you at all. That game has ridiculous issues with saving. Even with that, it's probably still my favorite game of the year.
You crazy?
I'm not crazy.
You crazy. We'll talk about this later. Right. We're going to get out of here though. Thank you, Justin, for showing up to this podcast. I really appreciate it.
I'm happy to do it every once in a while. Please don't expect it on a regular basis.
I know you're a busy man, so
I hate commitments.
I'm aware. So, if you want to get in touch with me on Twitter, I'm at Bobby Shortle. Justin.
At Justin_says_hey.
You can check out the Misadventureland podcast if you're watching this live or watching the video on YouTube, on any podcasting service that you that you use. If you go to misadventure.land, it will take you right to the YouTube channel where you can see the archives of this podcast. All the video versions are up there. Thank you to everybody who has been listening and watching. Thank you, Justin. Justin. Thank you.
You're welcome. But thank you, Bobby.
And thank you to everybody who's been listening and watching. Until next time, be good to one another. Later.
These two great friends agree a lot, but when they don't, then the shit gets hot. Though there's C+ in their gameplay, their commentary